Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. And today, I am going to be doing a review of a crowdfunded comic called Captain Love, the Hero of the Cleansing. Now, Captain Love, the Hero of the Cleansing, is a book that was written by Mr. Drew Esch, with illustrations by Andrea Bormida and coloring by Slamat Muhiono, with lettering and production by Mr. E Studios. Which, I think, isn't that Mr. E himself? I don't... well, whatever. This book was crowdfunded as of November 30th, and then was promised to deliver by Christmas. And I do have to give Mr. Drew Esch credit. This book was definitely delivered by Christmas. In fact, I think I got this book. I don't do unboxing videos or whatever, so I have to base it off of memory, but I got this book about a week and a half ago. And today I'm doing this video on December 24th, so I'm pretty sure he met his promise and he did his goal. So, now with the book, this is about, the space captain. It would be, for example, imagine Captain Kirk. That's what this character reminds me of. Captain Kirk. Except whereas Captain Kirk never had sex, at least in the original series, Captain Love definitely gets down. So I don't know if that's actually an influence or not, but that's what I see in Captain Love. Now, when it comes to the artwork, there was a couple of times where it was a little bit confusing, but that was my fault. But whenever the reader is confused, you can always blame the artist a little bit, because there were a couple of situations where we were viewing a situation or a scene or a panel, and then it was through a monitor. And so, imagine if you're looking through a mirror, that if you're looking at it through a mirror, that image of yourself that you're looking at is actually an opposite of yourself. So if you think about looking, let's say you were on the opposite side of a mirror and you were looking at it, it would be an inverse image. And so there were a couple of times where I was looking at something through, like, the other side of the mirror, and so things would look a little bit inverse, and so I would have to stop and say, okay, that's what's going on. At first I thought it was actually just a mistake, but no, it was just that's what's going on. So, anyway, Captain Love is a veteran of the war, and I'm operating under the assumption, based on some of the Twitter comments from Mr. Esch, that this is a book in an ongoing series, and so we're kind of in the middle of the story. But I do have to commend Mr. Esch. This book is a standalone book. You don't necessarily have to know the previous stuff. It's a standalone book. It stands on its own. So, for so many people, this is the first time... I keep saying Mr. Esch. Drew Esch. So this is the first time I believe that Drew Esch used the crowdfunding as a source to get his books published. And previously he was in a Facebook group, and he had like a falling out, or people wouldn't support him, or something happened, and so he decided to crowdfund his book. Now, I have to commend, so onto the character, that's a little bit about the character and history. Onto the book itself, Captain Love, L-U-V, he's rocking a purple skin tight shirt. I don't know how to describe it. It's not a t-shirt, but it's skin tight, and it's purple. And you don't see a lot of dudes wearing purple, but I consider that more of a tribute to his manliness. Because, there's that phrase, real men wear pink, and I kind of see that's what he's doing. He's wearing purple. He's also got like this ponytail. I'm pretty sure there's a story about that. So he's got like the effeminate vibes, but he owns it, and so that makes him a manly hero, who was it? I think it was gosh, the dude. For some reason He-Man. He-Man. Now, that show was very homoerotic, and even when He-Man wasn't in his superpowered form, he was rocking a pink shirt. But you know what? He was still a manly man, and he owned it. And so that's kind of what I see in Captain Love here. He could easily be a gay icon, but he's not. So kudos for him for embracing that femininity, or the appearance of femininity, but not actually being, feminine. So yeah. Anyway, moving on to the book itself. The first page is actually an image of his ship, which at this time seems unnamed, because most people name their ships. We don't get the name of his ship, but it's flying through space. But the thing is, I'm immediately not drawn in, because it's a super flat side view. It's just a flat angle, and the colors itself are pretty dark and not vibrant. And so I don't hold that as a mark against it, and the reason why is because of the words itself, and I'm going to read those now. What is space? Space is just a way of describing how nothing is there. So that kind of explains it, the artwork anyway, and not necessarily a view of the Captain Love himself, because I've seen some Green Lantern panels where the Green Lantern is just flying through space, and there's planets, and there's nebulas, and there's stars that are bright, and if everything was lit up and colorful in space, then it would kind of make the Captain Love look like a hypocrite. But because it's dark and dull, it's kind of, there's just nothing here. Anyway, Captain Love then meets an old friend of his. We don't really go into detail about his old friend, but his old friend has installed new jet boosters that will provide great maneuverability, and it's like a gift for Captain Love. And so they do catch up. It's a plot point that comes up later. Anyway, while he's waiting for his friend to call, Captain Love is so bored and lonely that he starts talking to his computer, or at least trying to. And then I'm going to read the narration here, because the narration explains why Captain Love is talking to his computer and trying to have a conversation. Any hauler captain could tell you that talking to an onboard computer assistant makes for lousy conversation. However, if you spend enough time alone, any voice is better than none at all. So that kind of speaks to his loneliness of Captain Love as he's out here in space. He doesn't have a crew. He's by himself. He's hauling what looks like radioactive gear or equipment. It might have been previewed in a previous book, I don't know. But that's okay. Again, this book does a good job as a standalone. We don't need to know why he's hauling this stuff. We know his occupation as a hauler, and he's hauling freight. He's doing his job. Anyway, when he finally gets to the location, Captain Love, this is where I actually have some actual criticism of the book. Captain Love gets to the space station where he's hauling the freight to. We get a quick landing sequence, and so he starts. He just kind of lands, and so as he's landing there, he just starts loading up the equipment without ever actually speaking to anyone at the dock station. So the dock workers are like, "Hey, go ahead and haul the stuff over there." He doesn't say anything. He doesn't say hello, nice to meet you. He doesn't say, man, it gets lonely out there. No conversation at all, which wouldn't be a big deal if he was portrayed as a cold, lonely person who was comfortable being cold and lonely. Because there's the introverts. Introverts can go for not talking to people, but Captain Love is portrayed as an extrovert who's willing to talk to computers, and yet when he has to talk to people, just nothing. There might be a history there, but if that's the case, that needs to be portrayed, because now it's actually contradicting something that's been presented to us. Whereas previously I mentioned the very first panel or page where it was kind of empty and dark, but then he starts talking about how lonely it is. That doesn't contradict. This contradicts. He's willing to talk to his artificial intelligence system, but he's not willing to talk to people, even though he wants to talk. So anyway, there's a female officer, loading agent, supervisor, whatever, and she's eyeing Captain Love. Because like I said, Captain Love is a manly man, even though he's rocking the purple shirt. She's like, her thought balloon is, he's yummy. And so, again, but it's just so off-putting how he talks about how he's lonely, but he's not talking to anyone there. Anyway, Captain Love hears a voice in his head. Help me! And so he's thinking, what was that? And so Captain Love keeps hearing this voice, and as he walks through the space station, unloading the gear that he's hauling, he keeps hearing this voice. And then it becomes even more overt, where that female supervisor person was getting more overt. She's like rocking her skin tight pose right in front of him, showing off her cleavage, doing like the little thing women do with the hair flip. It's like there's no way Captain Love missed it. So she says, I hear you loud and clear. Because, Captain Love is like, what is that voice? Can you hear me? So she's like, yeah, I hear you, babe. So anyway, but again, Captain Love doesn't say anything to her. It's very off-putting. So anyway, she says, this is like, even as explicit as it can be. Hurry up, stud. I have a break in 15 minutes. Wink, with the old wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So anyway, this is when we come across the next really serious issue, where Captain Love, he's hauling this stuff, he's going deeper into the space station, and so he's walking past a door that says, danger, keep closed, authorized access only, but there's like a security officer like 2 feet away monitoring what's inside the room. Well, not 2 feet away, it's more like 10 feet away, but the point is, there's a guard right there 10 feet away just monitoring that hallway. And so as Captain Love finishes unloading the stuff, he hears that voice. It gets louder. He deduces it's coming from behind the door. He like hacks into the access panel. But then he looks to the right and he sees that nobody's around. Okay, the coast is clear, looking to the right. If he were to look to the left, he would see that person who's monitoring the hallway. And that's... What, did he just disappear? Did he teleport? What's going on? He was monitoring this hallway. And then he's just gone. So that's a thing. So anyway, Captain Love goes into the that secure room, and he meets an AI named Spade, S-P-A-I-D, Spade. It doesn't matter what it stands for, because it's not worth remembering. Every one of these AIs who have a name acronym, it stands for something different. So anyway, she talks about how she was created. She's locked behind this static field, and the scientists are going to destroy her. She has feelings. She gets afraid. She gets angry. She gets sad. She gets happy. Please save me. And so Captain Love does save her. And the reason why they were going to see about how to destroy this AI is because this AI was going to be used as a weapon. Because the AI is sentient, it did not want to be used as a weapon. It shut down their passwords. It locked them out of their systems. It really hurt the space station. And so the AI uploads itself into Captain Love's systems. And when I say systems, I mean Captain Love has mechanical and cybernetic augmentation in his eyes and his ears. So the AI, after he sets it free, it uploads itself into him. And that's where it is. As he's so Captain Love is about to leave the room, that secure station, and walk past the guard who watched all that happen 10 feet away. He meets up with that woman who was eyeing him earlier, and they have a sex scene. But again, it's really, really disturbing. We get like 2 pages of a sex scene, and Captain Love doesn't say anything to her. No words. Like, not even, oh yeah, or I love you, or this is great. Nothing. It's like, he's almost as if he was an automaton. And maybe there's a story behind that, but this is, again, something that needs to be explained. There's even a section where he's getting ready to leave, and he just tosses clothes to her and walks away. Very cold, very impersonal. And then she says, perhaps we can meet each other again. And, in a doorway. And then he just shuts the door in her face. Yeah. I mean, even the AI kind of calls him out on it after they're done having their sex scene, and he gets back onto his ship. And he gets on his freighter to leave. So the AI is like, she was an attractive woman and very fit. And then he just brushes off the AI. Computer, set course to Europa. Europa the moon. So anyway, the AI is like, well, I disabled that software. I am sure it was mostly useless anyway. So this is where I have severe problems with the book at this point, or at least the portrayal of this AI. This AI is sentient, this AI has feelings, and this AI is entering programs and deleting them, because I'm pretty sure it's useless. What kind of AI is pretty sure about anything? AI are cold and determinate. And this is where I have a suggestion. If instead of it being an AI that was created, it was a human being whose neural networks and neural capabilities were uploaded into a computer system, that would make sense. You would still get that emotion, you would still get that impulsiveness, you would still get that acting without being certain about things, because that's what people do. And there's also something else later that I'm going to go into, but I'm not going to address it now. But basically, this is an AI that's deleting programs on his ship, now that it's gotten into his systems. So as the book continues, skipping a couple of pages, I don't want to go over everything, but I just want to highlight stuff, and there's a lot to highlight. So the AI, since the implants that Captain Love has are implanted into his brain, the visual enhancements and the hearing enhancements, those are connected to his brain, it allows the AI to access his memories with his permission, but it doesn't need it. I mean, this is an AI that's going to delete things all willy-nilly because it's certain it's efficient. Anyway, as a Captain Love, he gives the AI permission to access his memories. And now we get the backstory and the history of why he became Captain Love, the hero of the cleansing. Now I want you to know that I've gone over some things here, and we're almost 20 minutes in, so this is definitely going to be a long one, but I think it's worth it to really go over some of the stuff that's going on in this book. So, back in time, I don't know how long ago, maybe 5 years ago, it's not actually specified. That could have been easily done with a simple word belief, or even a narrative thought process or something. That could have been easily handled. So we don't know how long ago it was. But anyway, there was a war between the planets and an entity known only as the Corporation. The Corporation was a conglomeration of multiple different business entities, and they're looking to take over the world and dominate interplanetary leadership. All corporations want to do that. They don't say they want to do it, but all corporations want to do that. But here's where it starts getting incoherent. The corporations want to force corporate ideology onto the world. What? That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. What corporations do and how they generally take over is people buy the corporation's products, and then it shuts out competition. And so the corporations, as they become bigger and more financially influential, they start interacting with the corporate governments and start getting sweetheart deals, and they do it that way. Corporations do not try to force people to consume, because you can't force people to consume without getting resistance. No matter what kind of dystopia or attempted dystopia you get, corporations don't try to force their way. Even in George Orwell's 1984, the corporation, the totalitarian government, has complete and total control, and they are not trying to force people to consume. Instead, what they do is they indirectly provide only a limited amount of services. They don't try to force anyone to actually consume things, because you get immediate resistance if you try to force people to do things like that. So it makes no sense that the corporation would try to have a corporate ideology and enforce it onto the people. So anyway, the executives who try to enforce this corporate ideology, they choose an executive general, who's kind of like a military commander. And the military commanders, they start generating new weapons, or unsold weapons, unsold weapons. And here's the other part, they form an existing private army from the normal workforce. This is relevant for something that happens later. So, the corporation, having a monopoly over all media sources, dominated the airwaves, and they dominated propaganda. But as the people revolted, again, because of course they did, you can't force people into consumption. What you can do is provide limited access by creating the illusion of choice. It's a very important distinction. If you force someone to choose 1, 2, or 3, they're going to resist. But if you provide 1, 2, and 3, I don't know how to really explain it other than it was handled very well in George Orwell's 1984. On top of that, touching on steampunk and those types of dystopias, they handle it almost the exact same way. The corporations offer people choice, even if it's a false choice. By creating the illusion of choice, you don't get this resistance. And if this corporation had done more to create the illusion of choice, they wouldn't have faced resistance. Anyway, finally, the corporation, which has an intergalactic private army, just starts genociding people and just killing people and going too far. Finally, at that point, the government forces, because the corporation does not have complete control, and so the government forces create the Space Star Force. But the problem is, I figure from my perspective, the story should have ended right there. You had a privatized, intergalactic, corporate-controlled intergalactic force. They're already organized and ready to fight. Meanwhile, you have the government forces who are fighting, but they're not organized. Well, then they should have just rolled the government forces, because the corporation was organized and the government forces were not. I figured that's part 1. There's going to be 3 specific instances where I think the story should have ended, by the way. This is one instance where I think the story should have just ended. The corporate forces should have won, because they had effective military control of an intergalactic force where the government did not. But anyway, the government did eventually form their intergalactic force to fight against the corporation. And enter Captain Love. Captain Love was a major general, and he gained his reputation precisely because of one specific act where he fought against the corporation very effectively. Captain Love led forces into a high-grade battle cruiser, which was going to target the pleasure planet of Venus. Now, pleasure planet Venus was a space utopia of communists. Ignore the fact that they're communists. The reason why I have a problem with the story has nothing to do with them being space communists. The reason why I have a problem with this part of the story is that the corporation tries to recruit the space communists and starts forcing their way into the space communists. That kind of similar to what the British did to China when they forced China into opium. But the space communists on Pleasure Planet Venus refused. And so, because of that refusal, the corporation decided to genocide everyone on the Pleasure Planet of Venus. But then they took it a step further. The Executive General declared that all previous Venus visitors were compromised beyond reprieve and should be immediately exterminated. And so, the corporation started just executing anyone who had visited the planet and genociding them. And this is where I also had a problem. I guarantee you, some of the members on the corporate exec board of directors had visited the Pleasure Planet of Venus. If the book portrays all these corporate leaders who are acting as commanders as selfish and greedy, what would have happened is there would be blackmail and backstabbing up the yin-yang as people started trying to get their competitors executed in the corporation. Because I guarantee you, think Epstein Island and all the number of people who have committed mysterious, suspicious suicides. The corporation would have fallen apart within a couple of years as the constant backbiting as they vied for power took place. That's what should have happened. This is the second instance of where the book should have ended. Because people would just backstab and betray each other at this executive order, where anyone who has visited the Pleasure Planet of Venus should be executed. So this is part 2. The story should have ended because the government forces would have just eventually rallied and just defeated the corporation. Anyway, continuing on. So, oh no, those evil corporations killing the space communists. But anyway, Captain Love continued to lead his forces into the battle cruiser, and this is where we get our third weird issue. Captain Love is infiltrating this battle cruiser, and while they've infiltrated the battle cruiser, they're placing a bomb on the generator. And you even see one of the members, Jean, I think her name is, activate the bomb. You see the blip. You see her pressing the button. You see that unless this bomb is a dud, then this is going to be a success. You see her activate the bomb, but what you don't see is some sort of narration like, we have 5 minutes to get the hell out of here. We have 30 seconds to get the heck out of here. We have 10 minutes to get the heck out of here. Nothing indicated that this bomb is creating any dramatic tension. And these are soldiers. These are soldiers. So I want you to keep that in mind. Eventually, Captain Love and his small command gets ambushed and surrounded and captured. But one of the bombs got placed. The bomb got placed to destroy the console. Were they going to detonate it by a trigger? Was it going to be detonated on a time delay? We don't know. If they were soldiers, and they get surrounded, and they need to destroy this console to defeat this battlecruiser, what they would do is, if it was based on a timer, they would just stall for time until it explodes and destroys the cruiser. If it was going to be triggered by some sort of press a button and it triggers the bomb, as they get surrounded, they would trigger the bomb, destroy the battlecruiser that way. Neither one of those things happen. We don't get a timer saying, we have 10 minutes to get out of here. We don't see them with a triggering device. Again, the bombs have been placed. Where's the dramatic tension of this bomb that's been placed? There is none. Anyway, on this particular battlecruiser, we get the Executive General. Now, the Executive General has, at this point, eliminated his board of directors. He's had them assassinated. And he has full control over the corporation. And so it shows him surrounding Captain Love and his remaining 1 or 2 soldiers. And then this is where it gets into cartoonish villainy. The Executive General just walks up to the woman, and he's like, look at you. Very nice. Oh, he's licking the blood off her face. Ooh, tastes like fear. Then he just slaps her. Because he's evil. That's the only purpose of this scene, to show how evil he is. Now, corporations are known for being efficient. If he had surrounded everyone and needed them killed, he would just say, kill them. He would not dance around, licking this woman's face, slapping her around, showing how evil he is. He would just say, okay, kill them. And that's the third part of where the story should have just ended. Story should have ended at least three times by now. And then just cap it off of how I'm evil for the sake of being evil this is. I'm going to have you tortured for several days. Why? Why? What does that have to... You don't torture for the sake of torture, at least in most instances. You torture to get information, you torture for revenge even, something. Nothing. He's just, you're going to be tortured for several days. Because you are my prisoner, and soon you will be dead. Why? What is the purpose of his intent to torture him? If it's not for information, it's not for revenge. It's torture for the sake of torture. Because he's evil. Anyway, while the supervillain is engaging in cartoonish supervillainy and monologuing, you remember the Incredibles? Where, oh, you caught me monologuing, oh, you. That's what this is. He's monologuing for so long that backup has arrived. We didn't see them call for backup, but it's a good thing backup has arrived. There is no indication of Captain Love ever calling for backup. And where was this backup? Why would backup be arriving? Anyway, weren't they in the middle of, they snuck onto the ship, right? So it was kind of a covert ops. Well, actually, no. It wasn't a covert ops. But it also wasn't, a battle command. Because they had all the time in the world to just stroll through this ship when they were getting to the console. I don't know how to explain it other than there was a dramatic battle, and then they just broke free, and then they went into the console to destroy the battle cruiser. But it wasn't a running firefight. They just kind of, after they had their initial confrontation, they just kind of waltz over there with no further resistance until they planted the bomb, which never had a timer or triggering device. Anyway, the supervillain of the Executive General is caught monologuing. Captain Love throws him over the side. He attaches a bomb to the Executive General. The bomb is so powerful that it kills the General and destroys the console, and it blows Captain Love off to the side. So he's not dead, but he is severely injured, and that's the story of how he gets his implants. And so the remaining executives from the corporation were captured, the remaining executives were told went into hiding, but we see them surrounded by the Space Force being captured. So, there is that. Anyway, that's how he got called Captain Love, Hero of the Cleansing. So that's pretty much most of what this book is about. The military confrontation is dumb. The space communists were dumb. The it ends on a... Oh, there is one more thing. Captain Love also talked... So he gives the AI... Actually, he doesn't... He just lectures... Not lectures, but he tells the tale of how his ex-love placed a voodoo curse on him. That he will never die. But, you know, it's more of a fairy tale. But anyway, there's one last thing I had a kind of a problem with. It was minor compared to the other stuff. The AI is, while it's listening to Captain Love, the ship gets ambushed by 3 space pirates. There's nothing wrong with that. You can't go wrong with space pirates because they're a convenient villain. But the thing is, we get the battle shown in one... There's 2 things. We get the battle shown in just one panel, the entire fight with the 3 space pirates ships. And 2, how can you get ambushed? The AI, Spade, has sensor devices. It should have spotted these space pirates coming upon him and giving him a warning or done something. But instead, we get a one-panel battle. And this is also why I go back to something I mentioned earlier. This is why it would have been a lot better if the AI had been a human instead of an AI. A human who had been uploaded into a computer network. Because think about yourself as a human. You are not able to be in like the living room and the bathroom and the kitchen all at the same time. We're assuming those are 3 different rooms. You can't... Likewise, a human uploaded into a computer may not be used to being in one location and another location and operating multiple systems all at once. That would make sense, and that would explain how they got ambushed, because it's a human uploaded into a computer network who's not used to handling multiple tasks. But as it is now, it looks like this AI, Spade, is only able to handle one task at a time. My iPhone can handle multitasking better than this super advanced AI, and that's a real problem. And we know that the AI has access to scanners, because this AI says, I'm scanning, there aren't any other vessels in the vicinity. Anyway, this AI could have easily proved itself useful and not useless by saying, you've got those. If it was a multi-page firefight, and it showed Captain Love getting wrecked, and then the AI said, you've installed these new thrusters, but you don't know how to handle them, because remember, his friend installed some new thrusters for him. And so, let me handle this. And then it just shows the AI killing the 3 ships very easily. That would have made sense. But what happens here, where he has an AI that has access to scanners, but then the AI gets ambushed, that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, there's a love story talk about that voodoo, like I mentioned. Personally, I didn't need to see this. I would rather have had a more interesting space battle instead of having him go into his love history. So the story ends with he having this new AI who is emotional, handles only one task at a time, isn't very efficient, and makes it's the worst AI I've ever seen portrayed. Anyway, it shows them like having their adventures continues as Captain Love with his spaceship that remains unnamed go off into space. It's kind of like, and the adventure continues. Follow the path towards the next adventure. I want you to know that. And then there's like a post-credit scene, so to speak, with his friend from earlier and the girl from earlier who was offering to have drinks with him. It looks like they're old friends. That's a story for another day, and it shows them having drinks. Personally, I consider this bar scene where they're all hanging out together not canon. And here's why. What I'm going to assume is that this AI who gets angry, sad, scared, is going to get temperamental with Captain Love, who is a sociopath and doesn't do well with humans, at least from what I saw. As she becomes more and more human to him, he becomes more and more distant to her. She gets overly emotional and just shuts off the oxygen in the spaceship. Yep, just like that AI from Futurama who shut off the oxygen. I'm going to assume that that's what happened and the adventure does not continue. I cannot, under any circumstance, recommend this book. This is I'm sorry to say it, but this is the worst crowdfunded comic I have read. The story makes no sense. True story. I cringed so hard while the war was being recalled that I had to lay down, and then I lost consciousness as my body healed itself from all the cringe. That really happened. And so I was going to do a different video style upload, but my iPhone just shut itself down. It refused to record the video of this comic. It literally turned itself off. And I could not upload the unfinished video. It would not allow itself to be uploaded to YouTube or BitChute. So I had to just eventually delete the video because it refused to be uploaded and my iPhone shut itself off. The third thing I wanted to mention is that the corporation and the villains in this book are more incoherent than the villains from Captain Planet. Like Captain Planet, they're evil for the sake of evil, but they're ultimately trying to make money. The corporation in this book are evil for the sake of evil, and they're not out to make money. War is very expensive. It's a resource sink. Starting an unnecessary war is the dumbest thing the corporation could do. And even if you were going to say it was for absolute power and control, well, they didn't have absolute power and control. They had a government that was resisting them, and the people who were resisting them, and even got resisted by space communists. They were getting resisted left, right, and 6 ways to Sunday. So they were just killing people for no reason, with no effective plan. Anyway, that is Captain Love. I cannot recommend. I personally will not be buying any further books because the types of errors in this book cannot be fixed by simple editing. The types of errors that I saw in this book were fundamental errors, foundational errors. And that's something that, is not necessarily going to get better with time. Speaking of getting better with time, this is not Drew Ish's first book. He's been writing books for a while now, and I don't know if he lost his step or what it is, but I'm sorry if you do happen to stumble upon this review and you've made it this far, Mr. Drew Ish, but I will not be recommending anyone purchase your books in the future. I'm not going to go out and say, don't buy this book, or don't buy from him, but I will not be... I have regrets. I will be donating the book to the library, but not because I want to share the knowledge. It's because it's going to be a tax write-off if I donate to a non-profit. Anyway, I cannot recommend. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button and subscribe. Bye-bye.